Welcome to the Connectable podcast.
The Connectable podcast starts in 3, 2, 1.
Boom. Here we go.
I'd like to start off by saying, Josh, so Rob and I are matching, our backgrounds matching very well. He has a really cool blue picture and it's matching my teal picture. I feel like you're the odd man out. You have an orange background.
You know what?
I
know. Well, you know this, Deb. I have like the little filters that drop in the light. I had blue in my hand and I'm like, nah, I'm going to go with orange tonight. And dang, it was the wrong choice. I also noticed, I didn't realize this, Rob, but on your background, I thought it was just like a cool design. It's actually ice and water. It's a polar bear there.
It's a polar bear. Yeah, this National Geographic fine art piece.
Ooh.
So it was, taken from a Nat Geo photographer, and it was like a polar bear while the ice cap was melting. It's supposed to show like global warming effects and.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. Yeah. If you would have been a little bit to the right or left, I would have had no idea this entire time. Right there, I'm like, oh, it's a cool design, blue and white. I don't get it, but it's cool. Now I understand more. So
yeah.
No, Deb, there is no cool polar bear. It's like water. I don't know. But anyway, ours matches. Yours doesn't, Josh. So you should have gone with the blue background today.
I know, but thank you. That's a good point. Thank you, Rob. This is what I have to deal with every week. I have to look at her stupid art every week and then deal with this nonsense that she brings to the table. And I just want to point out too, our colors are blue and orange. So maybe I did it on purpose.
There you go.
I didn't, but maybe subconsciously I did. Anyways, that's enough of the nonsense, Deb. Our guest isn't here to hear this, and anybody who's listening to this wants to hear from our guest, not us. So today, the other voice you hear besides myself and Deb is Rob Meador. He is the general manager at Restore Hyper Wellness at the Fountains in Roseville, and we just found out also does some work and oversees the location at Lowmans Plaza as well. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, did I say your name right? Meador?
Meador. It's close.
Meador.
Dang.
Yeah.
I should have asked before. I did.
I normally go by my middle name for my last name because no one can pronounce. Like I get it Meador or Meador or different ones. Leslie, my middle name, it just flows off the tongue a little bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All my social media. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Would you say Meador? Someone gets real fancy with that.
Yeah, Meador is
okay. I wouldn't have the guts to try to add too many, more sounds to it. I just went Meador, kept my fingers crossed, and apparently I missed.
It was close.
It was close. I'll take it. Every time that happens, if I forget to ask the guest before we start going, in the middle of me asking that question, I'm like, I just got to go for it. It's too late at this point. I just got to go for it. So, anyways, we'd like to get this show started off by explaining how we're connected with our guests, and we literally, other than one phone call that you and I had, which lasted about 5 minutes, this is our first time actually meeting you, seeing your face, getting to talk to you a little bit. And I got connected with you through social media. Obviously we have different connections. We follow different people throughout Sacramento and the surrounding areas. And I feel like through Instagram, once you start doing that, a lot of suggestions start popping up. And I saw your guys' logo one day. I'm like, oh, that seems cool. And I looked into it, like, oh, that's really cool. And then I realized where you guys were opening up a new location. I thought, hey, let's see if they'd be interested in having a conversation with us. And you were kind enough to do so. So, it's always fun when we can connect with guests that we know, friends of ours, family, stuff like that. But we actually really enjoy it when we have no clue who the guest is, because we get to learn so much more in those conversations. So that being said, man, let us know a little bit about who you are, your background, and then what brought you to Restore Hyper Wellness?
Yeah. Hold.
Hey, I get it. Hey, all of us.
Please hold. Commercial break.
Right. Yeah. So I have a pretty eclectic background as far as like my career goes and kind of what journey led me here. So I went down to school in San Diego, University of San Diego. I got a finance degree and an accounting degree while I was down there. I went the traditional Big Four accounting route. I did like private equity valuations and consulting with PricewaterhouseCoopers. And I was working like 80, 90-hour weeks it was crazy. I was doing like 10 cups of coffee a day, if not more, sleeping 4 hours a night. And my kind of like breaking point is like I had a seizure. And yeah, like face plant at sushi, wasabi in the eye, the whole thing. It's funny now because it's been a while. It's not scary anymore, but it was a big like life awakening thing. I was like, well, maybe this is not the career path I have ahead of me. I actually got lucky enough to have a kind of like a big boy finance job after that, and it got like a 10-year career bump. It was overseeing 11 car dealerships doing their like large scale finance, not like financing the actual vehicles, but like working capital, bridge loans, things like that between the management group and whatnot. Decided I really didn't like that still. I was like, oh, I'm not working as much. I'm making a ton of money, but I kind of hate life. So I took a year of having fun and finding myself and doing all of the LA things that one would do. So going to like my meditation classes, the gym, yoga, doing a lot of like holistic kind of things and just taking care of my spirit. And that's when I found a wellness clinic down in LA, which does some similar stuff to what we do now here at Restore, but a little bit more medical. And I worked there for a couple of years, and then COVID brought me back up to want to be around family and kind of ground my life again. And that's when I found Restore. And at the time they had been open 2 months in the Sacramento location. And I got to, join that and enjoy doing what I do every day. Being able to interact with people, seeing like the benefits that they're getting from the services and whatnot, and not just sitting behind a computer, 24/7.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Easy.
I appreciate how you told that story, because it sounds like there's a lot of there's a lot of reading between the lines and a lot of things that you could have filled in, but you kept it very short and concise. But we understood pretty fully of what you went through and what you came, why you came here. So I appreciate that. That was great.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about the seizure. Is that okay?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Like, so you don't have a background of having them at all, right?
No, it was a lot of Adderall to get through.
Okay.
Yeah. Taking way more than I was prescribed, just to get through those like 16, 18-hour work days.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's what it was, but I could literally not function without that.
Crazy.
Like I was up by 5 a.m. and I was working until midnight or 2 a.m. some nights, like 7 days a week. And it's not like if I was checking in and checking out, let's say I was doing something manual where I can kind of like zone out. I think it would have been okay. But when you have to be dialed in and focused and you're doing a lot of high level, like balance sheet items, income statements, that kind of stuff, and analysis, you can't not.
Right.
Yeah, and I just decided that was not going to be my life for the next 8 to 9 years is kind of what you end up working those crazy hours.
That's crazy. Well, I just think so many people do that to themselves, get themselves in these crazy hours, lots of coffee. I myself, years ago, I was trying to finish my degree. So this is like 8 to 10 years ago. I was trying to finish my degree. I literally was taking 12 units for summer school at my college, and I was drinking coffee. I was drinking Turkish coffee, which is basically crack. Like I was drinking so much caffeine. I kept having these panic attacks. I kept getting sick. And then, so anyway, when you said that, I was just like, that could have been me, just because
Right.
people do that to themselves when they're just trying to work hard. They're just trying, like, you're trying to grind. But as you know, and as you went through it, the important thing is you got to take care of yourself. So to make, different decisions for your life is important. So it sounds like you did that though.
100%. Yeah, we have a very terrible mantra, or like American way of looking at life and work and what you need to do, and we almost like honor and praise not taking care of yourself because you're working, which is not a great mindset at all.
Right.
That's what you hear all the time, right? Like team no sleep, right? You hear that all the time, from whether it's an entrepreneur or athlete or whatever it is. Rob, do you have an athletic background?
Ish. So I did mixed martial arts for like 6 years.
Okay.
7 years growing up, and then around 18, I started doing like powerlifting and bodybuilding, that kind of thing.
Nice.
Okay, I was gonna say, because I feel like, I don't know about you, Deb, but like when you're, as Rob was telling his story, and like having the desire to push yourself that far and that hard for the good or bad, it just felt like some of the people, because we have another podcast that we were doing for a while together. It was a sports for like coaches and athletes. It sounds very similar to like a lot of their mindset. So like as you were telling that story, I'm like, I bet he has some kind of athletic background, and obviously MMA, powerlifting, and bodybuilding. I mean, those are three pretty intense things.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. You're already like almost like predisposed to that mentality already. And then, like you said, to get just a little bit further, you start adding the Adderall and some different things. And yeah, that makes sense. It's a weird thing, because like you said, it's glorified in some ways, but then it's weird, right? Because it's almost like mass behind this really good thing. It's like, oh man, look at how hard that dude works. Look at how many hours he puts in. But you don't realize that like underneath all of that is a lot of, potential pain issues, seizures, all that stuff. So it's interesting.
100%.
Right. And we walk around thinking we're invincible, right? we're like, it's fine. I'm going to have these 20, cup number 20 of coffee, and I'm just going to not sleep for another day. It's fine. I'll just get through it. I just need to get through it. But then after a while, it totally that's your body. Like, your seizure was your body telling you to stop. Chill the hell out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
When the 30 train came and hit me, it was only a few months ago. And I was like, ever since 30, it's killing me. I can't do anything anymore.
My friends talk about it all the time. We're like, I swear, like, as soon as I'm 34, and I swear I play indoor soccer, and every day the next day, even if I only play for a couple minutes, I swear I feel like I got hit by a train. Like my feet hurt, my knees hurt, everything is like, everything is much more difficult, I feel.
It's rough.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention too, I feel like it's interesting, and I don't think you mentioned this, but obviously knowing your background and what you went through health wise, now you're working in a field that is specifically designed to help people achieve their best physical health and their well-being. Was that an intentional choice? Like, did you want to jump into that world specifically because of what you had gone through, or did it just happen to work out that way?
Yeah. So there was a slight transition I didn't mention between the career paths, and it was like taking time and looking for health and wellness related things. I really wanted something geared towards that. And I had actually started doing health and wellness consulting for companies. So going in and finding companies like mine and coming out with like a wellness program for them, and then showing them, hey, if you do X, Y, and Z, your employees will be that much more efficient and effective at doing their job with less billable hours towards your client. And trying to go through that. So I did a little bit of the consulting with that. It was really slow to pick up. I just think that it needed like a couple more years of the younger workforce coming into the environment to make that push. Wasn't quite ready for that. So that's when I started looking for and outsourcing to companies that were already kind of doing it. And that's when I found my last company. And just one thing led to another, and I started working with them. So part intentional and part not. I wasn't planning on running day-to-day operations for something like it, but I'm very happy I did.
Yeah, that's awesome. So like you said, you guys have been in operation in Roseville since December.
December, yeah.
What is the response been like from the community, and like how? Because I feel like just that area. I feel like it seems like there's a lot of, like, at least people we know, there's a lot of athletic training groups out there. There's a lot of just athletes that live in those areas. There's a lot of people that are really active and fit in that area. So like, obviously, like I said, what has the reception been like or what has the response been like from the community? And then how have you made it a priority to connect with the community? Because obviously we're called Connectable because we're, about creating those connections, but like, how have you guys actively pursued connections with the community?
Yeah. We actually had a really cool opportunity to do that because I got brought on quite a while ago, well over a year ago, to open up Roseville. And because of COVID, the city of Roseville permitting was so backed up. So we were supposed to actually open up in June, but we opened up in December. So like 6 months later. So, I mean, in addition to helping out with the Sacramento location, I was actively for like just months going out to CrossFit gyms, local gyms, nutrition shops, chiropractic facilities, massage places, anything like that, to try to go and connect with the community. I'm big about engagement and like the holistic health. So just because someone's in a pseudo competing space doesn't mean we have to compete. Everything's kind of synergistic. So I've reached out to a lot of that community. We've had some running groups come through, and I've given them tours to try to incorporate that. We just had a really cool group come through that is related to like the Cancer Society and how they can help get help on basically their like recovery process after chemo and all that, to get to back to like a homeostasis. So a lot of times they're like poisoning their body for years and years and years in like to heal them, which is not great. It's a little, you know, it's a double-edged sword there. So they have a lot of work to get back to like a general sense of wellness after. So we definitely try to do that, do community events. I had my whole team actually start doing CrossFit with me at a place called CrossFit Restore. We have the same name. Yeah. So
that's cool.
Trying to get involved and be an active participant, and just kind of living what we call like the hyper wellness lifestyle, which is what we're doing for our, you know, our bodies, our minds, et cetera, and bringing that out into other modalities of the community.
Yeah, that's
Very
great.
cool. That's awesome.
And then like, so if I were to walk into Restore Hyper Wellness, like what is offered? Like what kind of things am I walking into? Like what kind of just, you know, holistic things that can you guys do for me?
Yeah, once Deb's done with her soccer games, like Deb's limping in there after a indoor soccer game. Like, how are you guys going to help her?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So we have 3 categories of services, right? So we have our core services, which are going to be like compression therapy, which is great for like breaking up lactic acid in the area, activating the lymphatic drainage system. Red light therapy, which is photobiomodulation. It's a mouthful. That's one of the coolest, most diverse modalities that we have. It's great for reducing inflammation, expediting muscle recovery process, increasing our ATP levels. And then it also resets your circadian rhythm, so you get like a deeper, fuller sleep. And then in men, it boosts your testosterone, which is, awesome. We have an infrared sauna, great for detox, heart health, longevity. And then we have cryotherapy, which is kind of our core kind of tenet of our core services. And that's going to be great for inflammation, recovery, and whatnot. So those are all of our core services a lot of people do. And then we have a medical service, which is going to be like our IV therapy. And the benefits are going to vary based on what micronutrients you're getting. You know, vitamin C is going to be good for your immune system. Proline is good for gut health. Glutathione, good for detoxing, etc. You can kind of make it what you want there. And we have a hyperbaric oxygen therapy, which is great for healing internal, external injuries, repairing neurological pathways in the brain. That's really good for post-COVID protocol as well. I had pretty bad brain fog after COVID, and that helped quite a bit. And then finally, we have like our specialty services, which is going to be more like aesthetic services, so facials, cryoskin slimming, etc., and whatever else they kind of choose to add onto that. There's a lot that we offer.
I love it. And you could just, so if I were to walk in and I, say, this muscle sore, or I'm having lots of headaches, or I give you some type of, whatever symptom I'm feeling, you guys are pretty good at kind of examining like, well, this might be good for you because XYZ, like I don't need to go to my doctor first or anything.
No, so I mean, we can't prescribe anything. I'm not an MD. I can't prescribe everything. Even my nurses who work there can't say like, take this and you'll do better with this. But I can explain like, hey, a lot of people who have XYZ or who experience XYZ will do blah, 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 and so and so. For the medical services specifically, like let's say you come in, we'd have your first appointment. you'd actually fill out like a health history form with like medications that you're on, whatnot. And then you meet with a nurse practitioner via a FaceTime thing that we have, telemed appointment. And they'll clear you for all of our services and basically say like, hey, because you have this pre-existing condition, you can't take these 2 ingredients or whatever it may be, just to make sure that it's safe. So the nurse practitioner will go through that. But yeah, we basically just kind of like say what other people are doing, and we do a lot of our own research, but I can't say like do this and this doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, science is science. So if it's something as simple as sore muscle, we got to move that lactic acid. So we need to, do that for that. So that makes sense. So that's cool. I like those options rather than so many people just go to the store and they're like, I just need some Tylenol. My back hurts.
Right.
Or, I mean, I'm guilty of, doing that. Like, I just need some ibuprofen, or I just need to put some ice on this or some heat on it. It really, the older we get, especially, all 3 of us, we're in our 30s. It just, you have to get down to the bottom of it. And, like I go to a chiropractor regularly for a 30-minute deep tissue massage and a reset, just to kind of like stay on track with that. When I could probably just, pop some pills and be okay for a second, but it doesn't really fix it in the long run. So I think the services you offer at your place are really cool.
Yeah, we really like it. A lot of what people do are Band-Aid options. And that doesn't really work long-term because it's going to catch up to you at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something I thought, again, sometimes I do this. I might be weird with some of this stuff, but like if I'm on Instagram and I see someone or a brand or organization that I feel like, hey, that would be cool to reach out to them at some point, I'll take notes when I like kind of scroll through their page and take notes. Again, that may be, I don't know if that's a weird thing or not, but like, luckily you're here, so it's all good. It worked out. But one of the things that I saw that I thought was really interesting is you guys had a post a little while ago, basically saying, hey, if you're looking for something new for a date night, this is a cool option. How often does that happen? Do like a lot of people do that?
We actually had like 3 yesterday and today.
Really? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like birthday options, like friends come in, like we have people buy other things. So they'll come in, they'll do like an IV together, get compression therapy while they're doing an IV, maybe they'll like jump into the sauna together beforehand, and do like a cryotherapy. So it's more like a wellness date. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I saw that, like, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of a cool idea. So I was wondering how common it was, but if it happened, what would you say, like 5 times in the last 2 days?
Yeah, like 3 times the last 2 days. Yeah.
Or 3 times in the last 2 days. Yeah. It's crazy. That's a cool option. So anybody who's listening, if you're looking for something different than like the movies, check out Restore. Might be a good option. Yeah. Do you guys have a, oh, good. Sorry, Deb.
No, I said, and then you feel better after.
And then you feel better. There you go. Do you guys have a specific, like clientele or a type of, like, for example, like, do you have a certain, like, you're in your area? Because I feel like different areas of Sacramento kind of attract different types of activities or different athletes simply because of what's available in those areas, right? And so do you find that certain types of athletes or certain people that enjoy certain activities tend to come in more often, or is there a pretty good variety of what they come in for?
I would say I could pretty much break every customer that comes into like 3 or 4 different segments.
Okay.
So we have the athletes that come in.
Sure.
So that could be any kind of athlete. It's huge for them. We have someone who has a chronic condition and the traditional healthcare system has failed them. So they're someone who's doing a lot of their own research on things, and they already know, like, hey, I need ABC, and here's kind of my plan of attack. How can you help me do this? So we have that. And then we have the biohacker people coming in. So these are the people coming in for like an NAD IV or the hyperbaric or some blood tests and whatnot, because they're really locked into their health and they don't necessarily have like a chronic condition, but they're invested in bettering themselves like to the extreme. And then we have people just coming in for general wellness. So if they just want to feel a little bit better, maybe they're a little run down, they don't know why. We have people coming in for that as well.
Nice.
Okay. Perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because it seems like there's a lot of people that are just really active in the Roseville area. I mean, anytime I go for a run on one of the nearby trails or anything like that, it just seems like there's so many people out there. either walking, running, cycling. It just seems like it's a really active, area in the city. So it's like, it seems like it's a perfect, your shop's like a perfect fit for that area. And it's an awesome location in the fountains right across from Dave and Buster's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That seems fun.
It's funny about the fountains is if it's a beautiful day out,
Yeah.
we will have like 80 people come through, and there's a ton of appointments, all this. And then like 2 days ago it was so windy, and like a quarter of that or like a tenth of that, people just are, it's so walkable, but when the weather's not nice, no one wants to come to the fountains.
Interesting. That makes sense. That makes sense. I've been on a couple of dates there with my wife, and a cold, windy night there is not fun.
No.
She's looking at me like, "Why did you take me here?" It's like, I don't know. It was a bad idea. Let's get back in the car. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. But so really, like how well the fountains do is kind of dictates how many people come in throughout the day. It sounds like.
Yeah, for now. And
now.
Once we get more established in the community, that's not going to be the case.
Sure.
It's just getting your name out there. And, so many of these services are very, esoteric.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, oh, hey, a new gym came in, or a new nail salon, or, hair, like a barber or something, where there is a given level of marketing with the name and understanding of the modalities. Whereas this is more high level. I mean, cryotherapy has been around pretty mainstream for 10 years, I would say, but a lot of the other things, not as much. So there's a lot more education. And then in that is going to turn into like a longer kind of, I don't want to say sales process, because it's not really, but think of like the customer coming in, learning, adapting, and then actually utilizing the services and coming in more frequently.
Yeah, it's crazy. So my sister's sister-in-law is, she's like a holistic massage therapist down in the San Diego area. And anytime she comes to visit, she'll bring her she'll do cupping on my back, and she'll massage, and she'll just she just loves doing it. And every time she's like, you are not taking care of your body. And I'm like, I work out. She's like, that's exactly my point. She's like, you should be getting, because I work out all the time. She's like, you should be getting a deep tissue massage, like a sports massage, like a couple times a month. You should be doing this, like, saying kind of things like cryotherapy and things that, your place offers. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, you need to take, you're getting older. Like you need to take care of your body. So I've been told that before, and it's crazy because I know it's true. I have a kinesiology background, so I know it's true. I think sometimes a lot of people are just like, oh, I don't want to spend the money. I don't know what this thing does or is. And, and to be honest, a lot of people like ex-athletes are lazy. We're lazy. We don't want to go take care of our body that way. We want to work out and just stretch and think that we're okay. But I think it's really important. I've become a huge fan of doing that. I've started getting sports massages and stuff. And I'm like, I feel a huge difference. Okay. Like my back was hurting one day, and my chiropractor that I went to, that he massaged me and then cracked me. It was like a half an hour to an hour session. I swear I was healed the next day. But I have to keep going back, and I have to do stuff like that. I haven't gotten into cryotherapy or any of like the services your place offers, but the older I get, I'm thinking I need to try these things because I'm very active, and my body is going to start breaking down. Like, because you lose, what is the statistic? You lose like 10% of your muscle mass every year after you hit a certain age, like 30 or something, like automatically. I forget. I don't know.
Older. It's like 40 or 50, but it's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm outdated with that statistic, but it's crazy. Even if you are, lifting and you're eating all the right things and you are gaining muscle, you're still losing muscle mass automatically the older you get. And, those muscles need to support your joints, your ligaments and everything. So everything kind of ties together. So to be able to go to a place and, have, the service that you provide to just kind of make your body feel better without taking a pill is a huge deal. And I think more people need to invest their money and their time and energy into that.
100%. What's so funny is how many people come in, especially with the people with chronic conditions, or already are feeling something, and they're like, dude, you're in pain every day. You just said you're in pain every day. And then when it comes down to like doing something, they're like, I can't afford it. I can't do this.
Yeah.
But they're the same people going to Starbucks every day.
Right.
For drinks on the weekend. I'm like, that's $150 right there, doing other things. And it's like, yes, it doesn't sound fun to invest in your health, but you're going to pay for it at the front end or the back end. And one way is going to hurt the entire time going along, and the other not so much. But we all, like, our human nature and tendency is to not do the things that are proactive and healthy for us, or whatever reason. And I just feel so bad sometimes towards the end where I'm like, please do this because you're going to help yourself. Yeah. And it's a very interesting, psychological issue or something going on.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I'm totally guilty of blowing my money on beer and wine with my girlfriends, and I should be spending that money taking care of my body.
Right.
What's
wine? I'll meet you on, though. I love my wine. So if you want to blow wine, go for it. Look, those are calories for the soul.
There you go.
There it is.
Oh, I love it.
Well, that reminds me of something that Deb, I think I sent you a while ago, maybe a couple months ago. It was just like a meme that I saw. And it was something like, to your point, Rob, it was, you can either take care of your health now by choice, or later when you have no choice. Like, you're going to be doing things that you can't, like, you're going to be in a hospital bed because you're forced to be there, rather than going out and doing, something at your facility or something else that's going to benefit you in the moment, and it will have effects down the road. But it's like, it's a choice. It's, front end is a choice, the back end is not a choice. And, you have to make that decision. So it's pretty interesting stuff for sure. Yeah. I had a thought, but I forgot it, Deb. I forgot my thought.
Wait, how long have you been doing the CrossFit stuff?
Okay, so I just started CrossFit like 6 months ago.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
So you said you have a powerlifting background though, too.
Yeah, so I got into powerlifting, and to be honest, our bodies aren't made to like bench 415 pounds, things like deadlift 600 pounds. I just started getting ache and pain, and kind of like a lot of people during the pandemic, a lot of my motivation for working out and things like that kind of dissipated. I mean, I had been doing it for 12 years. I hadn't introduced anything new in quite a long time. So I became very stagnant in everything, and I missed a lot of the competition that I used to have. And that's when I found CrossFit, and now I'm like totally enamored. I'm doing all the opens and
cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I never got into CrossFit, but I have a powerlifting background. And then one day my lower back started hurting really bad from doing deadlifts.
So, 100%.
So no more heavy lifting for me. But it's crazy. It does a number on your body. Well, and CrossFit does too. And just so it's crazy. And I just box right now, and that's doing a number on my body too. But I'm stubborn.
Oh, nice. Where do you box?
At Title Boxing.
Oh, Blake's place.
Yeah. Yeah, we had Blake on. Was that Character Combine, Josh?
It was Character Combine, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I found out about it.
Oh yeah, I was just talking to him today, actually.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. I was wondering if you guys were connected there, because I think obviously once we started following you guys, then the Lowmans Plaza location popped up as a suggested follow. And then when I looked at it, I was like, all these people that we know from, all these people that we know from previous podcasts that are either heavily involved in Title, or obviously they own Title, like Blake. So he's a good guy for sure. You probably get a decent amount of business from them.
Yeah, definitely. We've had a lot of people just come in through that. A lot of the UFC guys have come into Lowmans Plaza. Yeah. A few NFL guys during their like spring training or whatever, they live up here, come in a lot to kind of do like rejuvenate before going back to practice and things like that.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. That's gotta be such a, I mean, this might be a dumb question. Like I told you, Rob, I'm here for the dumb stuff. So Deb's obviously asking much smarter questions, but is it like a weird thing when like an NFL athlete walks in or a professional athlete walks in? Like, I'm sure you at this point, you're just like, this is just another person that needs our help, but it's gotta be kind of a cool thing, thinking like, hey, this person finds value in what we're doing, and they know it's going to like help protect their bodies and prolong their careers as much as possible. Like, is that like a weird feeling? Is that a good feeling? Like, what's it like when that happens?
I like when the pro athletes come in, because that is their passion, their dedication. They're doing all this training, so it's a lot of validation on that. Some of my employees get really starstruck.
You give them a heads up first. You give them a heads up. It's like, hey, we know this person's coming in. Just everybody play cool.
Not really. We used to. So, I mean, I lived in LA 6 years, so I used to squat next to Usher and Shawn Mendes. So it's not like weird for me.
No big deal.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, oh, whatever. But it's funny seeing everyone's kind of reaction and stuff like, oh, is that so-and-so? I'm like, oh yeah.
You're like,
So I'm assuming Usher squats more than Shawn Mendes, or is that not true?
I think he does.
Yeah,
he was on his phone most of the time at the gym though. So
that's crazy. Wow.
That's funny.
We can't say the same.
I know.
Right.
That's like a whole. I have a whole list of questions that I could go down with just that idea of going to it, because you hear all the time, right? Like you listen to a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts, different things, and people that are based, like comedians, athletes that are based out of LA, and you hear that all the time. It's like it's a very different. Like the fitness environment down there is very different. Like when you go to a gym, it's a very bizarre thing. It sounds like.
Yeah. I used to go to the West Hollywood Equinox, and it was like part people working out hard, part people taking meetings while they're working out,
Wow.
part like people literally living there. Like there'd be a group of people I know who like struggled buying their groceries, but would spend $300 a month on this gym just to be like in the environment. So you had that. That's a very strange. I don't understand that mentality, but you had that too. So it was a very weird melting pot of like, it was a scene for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, obviously I'm here up in Sacramento, but like I know the name Equinox. Like that's it's a fairly popular or famous, fitness place down there. So it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And I imagine this influencer social media world only makes that whole scene worse. You know what I mean?
100%.
It's like at every gym, but especially down there when like everybody's in great shape and beautiful. It's like, well, of course your cell phone's out. You're taking a selfie in the mirror,
Right.
Yeah. That's tough.
It's a lot.
Yeah. what a weird just difference coming up. I mean, it's got to feel so much way slower up here.
Yeah. So I grew up here, so it's good coming back to family. But I, personally needed to be grounded a little bit.
Okay. Sure.
I have a lot of off podcast stories for you about being down there.
Sure.
That are nuts and fun and whatnot. But I was just getting to the point in my life. I'm like, okay, I want to own a home. I don't want to spend $3,000 a month on my 2-bedroom crappy apartment anymore. Sure. And you just want to kind of like ground yourself. But I go visit a lot. Like I'm going next weekend. So
awesome.
It's very good to get a little sprinkle of that environment every couple of months. And then
there you go. Yeah. I love it. What would you say is the most popular service you guys offer? Like if someone, maybe it's not like a normal consistent client, but just like someone off the street is like, hey, I want to do this. What do you feel is like the most popular service you guys offer?
Right now, infrared sauna, probably.
Okay.
Just the time of year. In the summer, it's definitely cryotherapy.
Sure.
And then we have pretty much people come in for IV therapy too. It's either you're coming in for cryo or the IV, and then you kind of discover the rest.
Got it.
A lot of people have been coming in for our NAD plus IVs, which are huge, particularly because like Joe Rogan keeps talking about it and things like that. So oddly enough, with that area and the demographic too, we'll have people come in and be like, hey, this is what I want. And they're like $800 an IV. So it's always kind of like, oh, okay. Like put you through. But yeah, they're a super intense IV, very different from like regular. So we've had a lot of people come in, particularly this week, which is why it's on the top of my mind, coming in and asking for that.
Yeah. Are you?
Sorry, go ahead.
We try not to interrupt each other.
That happens sometimes. Yeah, and that was like one of the few times where we actually catch it at the same time. I was like, oh, we're about to interrupt each other. Go ahead, Deb.
Right. Hey, I'm blanking on what it's called. One of the services you offer, the light one, the one that like boosts everything, and you said boost testosterone.
photobiomodulation.
How long has that technology been around?
Ooh, that's a great question. I don't know how long it's been around. I know the last place I was at, so at least 5 years, 6 years. The clinical research has been around for a long time, which is cool. So the way Restore kind of works is they pick things that have already been clinically researched, take that and then do in-house training. So we have our corporate locations in Austin, and they basically do like an in-house testing for 6+ months to make sure not only did the research, like we took something research, but that like our community is actually benefiting for something, because we don't ever want to do something where people aren't going to feel or see the benefits of doing stuff. So that was one of the ones that was already so widely researched and then just again emphasized when we did our in-house testing at Restore Labs.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's just a light. Like how would you describe?
It kind of looks like a tanning bed.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, it's so strange because it's a big panel and half of them appear to be on, so it's the red light, which is good for like hair, skin, and nails, that kind of thing. And the other half appear to be off, and that's just like the infrared light, because it's not visible to our eye. And that's going to do the whole list of benefits. But that's more of like a cumulative thing. So if you're coming in consistently, the reason why I started making sure to do it was, I mean, obviously testosterone is great for all men to keep boosting up. But I have arthritis in my family, and it helps like arthritic pain and to prevent a lot of the inflammation regarding that. So I figured if I started now, I just won't get it. Is kind of my hope. So fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. The testosterone thing, does that affect females or like how?
No, it has to hit your testicles. So the light does. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
It hits some component of it that ramps up production, which is cool because, I mean, especially in the CrossFit community, a lot of people are using steroids and whatnot, which as long as you're not competing at the competitive level, like whatever, everyone's doing their own thing. I don't care. Yeah. I personally am predisposed to hair loss in my family, and I would like to keep this bad boy intact. So I personally won't do it for that reason. But I have to keep up with my recovery and whatnot. So anything I can do to help boost that. So the red light has boosted, it took about 2 months. I do it 5 days a week, but it boosted me up like 100 points in 2 months.
Wow.
Which is pretty substantial. Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's like taking a vitamin. It's like doing this thing because like you said, like if I can't just take one vitamin, like for example, and then just forever. I just, you take them daily and that's how you continue to get all those benefits.
Yeah. I mean, there are things like, let's say you come in and do cryo, you're going to feel that the rush of endorphins and things right away.
Right.
Red light, if you're sensitive to the light, like I feel kind of like, ooh, like good after, like it just puts a good, happy mood. But there are other things like the IV therapy where you won't necessarily feel it right away. But it's doing things to your body like cumulatively and that kind of thing. So it's a little bit harder to get people to continually to do stuff, but the people who are diligent about coming in and making time for themselves really, benefit quite a bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. Thanks for explaining that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was, man, you've said some really big words. I'm like, I don't know.
So my nurses and stuff come to me sometimes because I'm obsessed and I listen to podcasts and I read. And when there's downtime, I'm like reading research papers and stuff. Cause I'm always like, again, maybe it comes back to that sports like competitive mentality. I'm like, okay, what can I do for myself today that's going to like put me further along? So I'm always doing something like that.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's kind of a good segue into my next question for you. So obviously, like you said, you listen to a lot of podcasts, you do a lot of research. I think that's probably the case for a lot of people, and how much research and how deep they go, we don't know, but there is so much information out there. Some good, some bad, some wrong, some right. And I imagine that you guys spend a decent amount of time like debunking or maybe explaining why, like there might be a customer that comes in with like a a pre-idea of like what you guys do or how effective it is, or, all these different things, like how much of your time is spent like educating and explaining to people that maybe have done a ton of their own research and maybe it's just way off base?
A lot.
Oh, there we go. Easy enough.
Yeah. So anyone that comes in, we give a tour of the facility,
Sure.
a high level. Here's all this stuff, and then we can go deeper down the road. The biggest one that I hear all the time is people think that IVs are just for hangovers. Like, I cannot tell you how many times people have been like, "Oh, IV, I don't need that. I don't drink," or like something along those lines, and I'm like, no. There's so many other benefits. Like, that's not, yes, before I go to Napa, I will go get a preventative IV, but I also do it like for health related reasons and immune system and whatnot. So that's probably the biggest misconception people have. And you'd be shocked at how long it takes to explain that to someone before they're on board with you.
That's interesting. See, that's fun. It's funny you say that though, because, so I don't drink, but I listen to a lot of podcasts, like I said, comedians and stuff like that, where they're like big time partiers. Like they, go out of town on a tour, lose their minds. And that's actually when I some of these brands that they promote and sponsor podcasts, that's typically when, like, in their pitch, they're like, hey, I just did like a weekend at Vegas on this tour and I got liquid IV and now I'm good. So it's like, it is interesting that a lot of people, even the way they pitch it and sell it, not saying the companies do that, but like the people that are endorsing it kind of explain it that way. So it is interesting that you say that, because I imagine that some of that is where it comes from.
Yeah.
Just a simple ad.
Well, that's what I think there is their marketing style. So earlier we were talking about how like it is an esoteric service. Like there's a lot of client education that goes into it. The easiest way to get people to come in and buy something like that is saying, oh, hey, here's your hangover. Done.
Sure.
It's a quick sell. They don't have to do a lot of work for it. It's not something I particularly believe in, because I'm all about doing what's effective for someone, because then they're going to be a long-term client. I'm not getting a once every other month because I'm too drunk client. I'm getting a, once a week, once every other week for the next 5 years, because I am investing in my wellness kind of client. So I think a lot of people look at it and say, hey, how can we do this and make a quick buck, basically?
Which makes sense.
Especially, I mean, you see those places in Vegas, there's 48 probably IV clinics in Vegas,
right,
all around. Yeah. And they're getting the people who just had a little too good of a time.
Sure. Makes sense. So I have just one more question for you that I have written down, and it's going back to what you said towards the very beginning of this podcast. And you were mentioning how there's maybe a misconception that just because two different companies are in the same field, that there has to be a competition, or it's this cutthroat thing where you have to see the downfall of the other side in order to succeed. And you said, I don't believe in that. Like, I believe that we can both succeed and work together. Is that a common thought in your world, or is that not so much the case?
Like in the wellness?
Yeah, because I know in certain businesses that's like not the thought at all. It's like, I'm gonna take the other side down no matter what it takes. Others are like, yeah, everybody can win. So I'm just curious if in the wellness world, is that like something that people really believe in? Because I know some trainers that feel that way, athletic trainers that we know that feel very much that way, and they've come together and done some really cool things together, even though they're only 5 miles away from each other. But I don't know. It just seems like that's an awesome mentality. Like, I love that you have that mentality, because I think that benefits the community the most. But I'm just curious if these people, like when the dollar signs start going up, or down, if it starts becoming this cutthroat thing where it's like, well, it was a nice idea, but now we just have to win.
I would probably say that.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it comes down to that for most people, but like anything, there's going to be both sides. So I'm sure there's a lot of people in the wellness industry, more so than other industries, who are more open to kind of like wanting to all succeed together. A lot of people I've met through this community have not like similar journeys to mine, but have a journey of their own of, hey, I went through something and now I want to help people. So that's kind of maybe why their main focus is on helping people versus what can I get out of it.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a business. So
yeah,
definitely.
Well, at the same time though, right? Like just like we've talked a lot about with coaches and athletes, sometimes you might connect really well with your head coach. Some girls aren't going to connect with the head coach, but an assistant coach, they'll run through a brick wall for that person. And so I imagine it's the same with a business too. Like, you guys may offer very similar services, but they just like the way Rob does his business. So it's like the one may be closer to my house, but I'll travel a little further because I like Restore and I like Rob and I like his team better, and vice versa. That's like, hey, they're not bad people over there. I just happen to connect a little better with this group over here, and it's just kind of a preference thing too, I think.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I'm big on that, and I tell my team a lot. I like to do, like, I did all the hiring for my team, so I make sure it's people I like to work with. Because I'm seeing them a lot. But I kind of press upon the importance of people are not going to remember what you say, but they're always going to remember how you made them feel. And having that experience of going in and being catered to and taken through this journey, so they're not alone in what they're doing, and having that understanding. It's a huge thing for me. Is like a lot of people who come in kind of similar to a gym, like let's say they haven't really started their weight loss journey or their health and wellness journey, and you're very insecure and you're kind of alone, and it took enough courage for you to just get there. So you need to be welcomed with kind of like big open arms and guided through this, because maybe it just took them everything possible to make that decision to come in that day and change the direction of their life.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Good. It's good. I think you're offering a great service and everything.
100%.
Yeah, it's super important, and I feel like it circles back to how you started off your story with, I did, worked 80, 90 hours a week and had 10 cups of coffee, and then I had a seizure. So it's like your body, so that was a good segue into, we're talking about wellness and what's good for your body. And so, so that was really good. Thanks for all that information.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. We definitely appreciate your time and hanging out with us for a little bit and answering, like I said, answering Deb's, smart questions. And then mine's like, hey, I heard this is a good date night. What's that about? So
I love it. You guys got to come in. I'd love to show you around, get you to some cryo, some red light.
That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
We'll set a day.
Yeah. All right, for sure. That'd be awesome. Deb, we haven't done this for a while, but I'm interested in Rob's answer to this. Sorry, Rob, I didn't prep you for this, but
you're good.
And we haven't done this for quite a few episodes, but we like to do something every once in a while called a connection suggestion. And it's basically, we like to ask our guest, hey, is there a person, a brand, organization, it can be a restaurant, I mean, whatever you want, something out there in the community. Maybe it's something across the country, something that we can follow, something our audience can follow that we should be aware of, that you're maybe a big fan of.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, the first one that comes to mind, it's not like a huge brand thing, but again, my CrossFit gym I started going to was really, really cool. The biggest thing is I've gone to a couple different places, and maybe it speaks a little bit as me saying how much it took for someone to just come in to the store. Like, I had a huge misconception about it, of like this only competitive thing, like not welcoming, not community based, with a couple of the CrossFit gyms I had been to. And so when I finally went to this one, I'm like, oh my gosh, people are super kind and welcoming and whatnot. And it's a really good place for people to start their kind of like fitness journey or wellness journey, without having that like daunting, oh, this is going to be super rough for me, or, oh, CrossFit's too hard or whatnot. And it's a cool place to develop like that community and start that journey for you. So they're called CrossFit Restore. They're in Roseville. So that's one I'd look out for.
Perfect. Sweet. We just started following them. So that's awesome, man. We appreciate that. And I had someone on maybe 4 or 5 episodes ago, and they're a big competitive CrossFit athlete, and it is cool. Like this could have been a whole conversation that maybe we'll have you on next time. We can talk about it, but just that the community is a huge part of the CrossFit world. And just, it's everybody I talk to that is into it says you walk in there and everybody's rooting for you. It's not a situation where it's, it's competitive, but not in the same way as maybe another fitness activity is. It's like everybody wants you to win, everybody wants you to succeed. And so here's another example of that, man. You had the things you just said. It's like, oh, it's another check for the CrossFit world. People are pretty friendly there.
The biggest part, which is why I'm so emphasized on it now. Like one of the biggest things I missed when I was in LA is like when I'd go to my breathwork meditation place, it'd be the same people I'd see at the gym. It'd be the same people I'd see at the health food place getting my smoothie, and the same people I'd see somewhere else. And we'd all talk about learning and growing and ideas for our health, our mind, our soul, like that kind of thing. And that's why I love like coming up here now and starting to see like we're open, and I'm seeing some of the same people that are coming from my CrossFit place that are going to the chiropractor, that are going to their sports massage, whatever it may be, just interested in learning and growing together and being better versions of themselves.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's getting bigger up here for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Where can people follow you guys? Website, socials, all that stuff?
Yeah, we just changed our social.
Oh no, that's the worst, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's RH. Let me not butcher this. Hold on. I dropped my phone.
Okay. There's the polar bear again.
Right?
Yeah.
His name's Jack.
Jack.
Let me grab this. Hold on. I'm so sorry.
That's all good.
Yeah, they changed the restore to something a little bit more discernible from our big thing. So it's RHW_Roseville Fountains. We're on there. And then if you just type in like restore Roseville Fountains, we're on Facebook too. And we're pretty active on there and super engaging. And if you're talking to someone, you're probably talking to me on the Instagram. Or the Facebook. So I'm always welcome to like ask questions and whatnot. And I'll pick up a phone and, have a 20-minute conversation with someone, to help them through this. So I'm always available.
Awesome. That's how we got connected with you. I sent the DM and he was kind enough to not only chat with me for a little bit, but then hop on the podcast for 45 to an hour. So, man, we definitely appreciate what you guys are doing. We'd love to check that out at some point, and would definitely encourage everybody else to do so as well. Haven't even been there, and I just get a good feeling from Rob, so I'm going to recommend it anyways. So, man, Rob, thank you so much. We appreciate it, and good luck with everything. And we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Have a good one, you guys.
All right, thank you. Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable podcast.